gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the My Two Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I am G2. This is episode 221 of the podcast. And before I start off with today's topic, I would like to ask every single one of you, how are you guys doing? I'm hoping everyone had a great week. If not, don't worry about it. You have another week to accomplish what you need to accomplish. I've stated it previous episodes, and I'm going to state it here once again. Do not allow stress to work you, because stress is a silent killer. I don't want people to end up dying over stress on top of the things that you are already suffering or facing right now, or the things that you have no idea what you're facing, but you get my point. I don't want stress to be on top of those type of things. Handle what you can handle. Don't worry about what you can't handle. Things that's out of your hands. Only handle things that's within your hands and within your reach of handling. You have another week to accomplish those things, so please do it. But please don't try to kill yourself in the process of doing it. You know what I mean? So with that, I also like to say we're in the lasting, days of March. This week will be the 1st of April. So I know it's starting to feel hot/warm over where I'm at. I'm in the South. And usually when that time starts rolling around, there's bug season coming out. People cutting their grass, people even burning their grass because they want to get fresh grass whenever all that ashes and stuff goes away. I'm hoping everyone is ready for spring, even though we're in springtime. But you get my point. The weather starting to come with the spring is now upon us. I hope everyone is ready for it. And I'm hoping that everyone has a great start to the actual spring weather, if you catch my drift. Anyway. Getting off the rambling, let's get on to the National Food Days of the week. Today being March the 30th, it is Hot Chicken Day. March 31st is Clam Day, as well as Oysters on a Half Shell Day. Now, the first day of April, which is April 1st, which is April Fool's Day, is Sourdough Bread Day. April the 2nd is Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. April the 3rd is Chocolate Mousse Day. April the 4th, it is Cordon Bleu Day, as well as International Carrot Day. And then to round us off, April the 5th is Burrito Day, Raisin and Spice Bar Day, as well as Caramel Day. Now, that's your National Food Days of the week. So with that, moving aside, I do have to start off with some international topics first, because this is an international broadcast as well. There was an earthquake that hit Myanmar, that's somewhere close to Thailand, on Friday. They report that a powerful earthquake rocked Myanmar, destroying buildings, damaging roads and bridges, leaving more than 150 people dead. The 7.7 magnitude quake struck at midday about 10 miles from Mandalay, Myanmar's second largest city, with a population of about 1.5 million. Strong aftershocks followed, including one that was measured at 6.4 magnitude. The head of Myanmar's military government said on state-run television that at least 144 people were killed and 730 others were injured in the war-torn country. In Bangkok, Thailand's capital city, officials said that at least 10 people were killed, more than a dozen injured, and about 100 others missing. The death toll in both countries were expected to rise and are expected to rise, because obviously if 100 people are missing, you're more than likely going to see bodies in the wake after they clear off some of the damage that has been that did occur because of this earthquake. And there's like a video of like a building literally collapsing down in, I want to say, Myanmar. It's been posted up on social media. Associated Press has it as well. That's a hard thing to see over here in the States. I remember, again, 9/11 was the planes crashing into like the Twin Towers. That's like the top thing that comes to my mind whenever I see a big old building come crashing down. And for this building over in Myanmar just to crash because of an earthquake, That's astonishing. So again, I would like to give my love and condolences to the people over there in Myanmar and also the people over there in Thailand. I'm hoping that the 100 people that are missing aren't dead. I know that's a long shot, but I'm hoping not a big number is dead. If anything, I'm hoping by the good. If anything, 20 out of the 100. But again, my love and condolences go out to everybody over there in Myanmar and Thailand because of this earthquake. Now, that was international news that I wanted to cover. Now I want to move over to U.S. news. First thing first, I want to start off with an anesthesiologist that was charged with attempted second-degree murder for allegedly attacking his wife while they were on a hiking trail in Hawaii. CNN would write up an article about it. The anesthesiologist's name is Gert Hogg Koenig. He's 46. He is now being held without bail at the Oha Community Corrections Center. A statement from the Honolulu prosecuting attorney's office said his bail has been previously set at $5 million. His wife told police she and her husband were hiking on a trail Monday, and at one point, the anesthesiologist was standing close to the edge and asked her to take a selfie with him, according to the affidavit filed during his Thursday hearing. The woman told police she was uncomfortable taking a photo there. So she declined and began to walk back. The document says, at that moment, she said he began yelling at her, pushing her into nearby bushes, then picked up a rock and struck her on the head approximately 10 times while also grabbing the back of her hair and smashing her face into the ground, according to the affidavit. She was yelling for help when she heard two other hikers and was able to start crawling towards them, she told police. The man's wife says she observed him taking out two syringes from his bag and attempting to use them on her, but she was able to get them away from him, the affidavit says. One of the hikers, a woman identified as Amanda, told police she heard someone yelling, "Help, help me," and began running up the trail. She says she found a woman with a man on top of her, hitting the woman in the head. Amanda said the woman she encountered told her, "He is trying to kill me. He is hitting me in the head with a rock," according to affidavit. The second hiker, identified as Sarah, called 911, Amanda told police. The woman was able to get away from her husband and toward the hikers, and they were all able to move up the trail and toward help. The document says she was in serious but stable condition when EMS arrived to transport her to the hospital, police said. The Honolulu Emergency Service Department confirmed it treated a 36-year-old woman for head and facial injuries after being assaulted, and she was transported in serious condition to a local emergency room. So that's the news story right there for you. I'm about to give my opinion on this story. This sounds like I'm just going to say it, a murder attempt gone wrong. We've seen and heard of different vacationing couples going on vacation and one of them come back while the other one just happens to mysteriously pass away, whether they're in the ocean and either they drown in the ocean or get ate by a shark, or they're doing a hiking trail like this, or they're hiking up a mountain and one person happens to fall off of said mountain. And sometimes the other spouse is the culprit, sometimes they're not the culprit. But you get my drift here. This one just seems like a murder attempt gone completely wrong. And again, I have to use allegedly right now, an alleged murder attempt gone wrong, because he has not been found guilty of anything. But if you got records of the people that transported this woman and treated this woman, saying that they have records of treating her of the injuries that she sustained from this, I'm pretty sure this is going to be an open and shut kind of trial right here, to be honest with you. So I don't see no other way this anesthesiologist is going to try to worm his way out of it. What I would like to know, and it's always a point for any type of case like this, or any case in general when it's almost like attempted murder, why would you do it? Why would you try to kill your spouse, or why would you try to kill anyone? There has to be a reasoning why. Did you have a big life insurance policy on your spouse? Did she just aggravate you and you just thought, well, if I do a hiking thing and I've watched enough television and watched enough movies, I know how to like cover it up and say, oh, she happened to trip and fall? Or what is it? What is it? What is the reason why you would try to allegedly kill your wife. It doesn't make sense. The action doesn't make sense until we get a motive for it. Again, I would like to know the motive. I hope that we will get a motive for it. I hope that the wife at least explains what happened that day. Did you guys argue while you guys were in Hawaii? Like, has this been leading up to something, like the days or weeks before you sensed that he was in a bad mood, or you guys, again, been in arguments, or this just came out the blue? Something like that. There needs to be a legit motive for this type of thing. If not, this man is just a complete nut job. And again, this is all alleged because he has not been found guilty of anything. But we will find out when more details come out about this. Again, just looking at this when I was in the gym and it popped up on my, like, one of the screens, I was kind of like confused. I was like, huh. And then reading it, I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, it sounds like a vacation or like one of these little trips gone wrong in a way, like the murder attempt gone wrong. But again, we'll have to find out about more news about this when it comes out. And when it does, I'll bring updates right back to this podcast when more comes up about it. And speaking of, this is kind of an update on a previous news story that I talked about, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. Associated Press will talk about a man held captive for 20 years, and he asked prosecutors why his stepmom is free after being charged. A Connecticut man who told authorities his stepmom held him captive in their home for 2 decades since he was a boy has asked why is she not behind bars while awaiting trial, a state prosecutor said Friday. The supervisory assistant state attorney, I don't know how to say my man's name, so I'm not even going to try it. He would made the remark during a court hearing in Waterbury for Kimberly Sullivan, who pleaded not guilty Friday to charges that included kidnapping and felony assault. Sullivan was ordered to be placed on electronic monitoring, and the assistant state attorney also asked for house arrest over concerns she could flee. He would say in court, "This victim is afraid. This victim lives in fear. I introduced myself to the victim, explained who I was. His first question in this fear is, why is she walking around when I was locked in a room for 20 years? That is a powerful question to ask the state assistant attorney. That is a very powerful question to ask that attorney, and it's a real question to ask, because when you think about it, why is she walking around? Why is she not in the jail system, being held there without bail until the court proceedings actually does come around? How is she able to walk around freely, even though she's on house arrest or she has an ankle monitor on? You know what I mean? How is she able to do that? Because you got to remember, when they found the man, remember, they said that he was 5'9" and he only weighed 69 pounds. That is malnourishment. They neglected him of just eating and living like a civilized human being. Remember, they said that they found homeboy with his teeth being all messed up and like chattered and matted, and like, I'm not trying to even be like disgusting here, but you know what my point. Like, his teeth is messed up. He is messed up completely on the insides and out. All right. There's no way to kindly say that. And for the stepson to ask the assistant state attorney that's a real question, and it should get a real answer. Why is she out? There's no way she should be out walking freely. I remember talking about this, and again, she's another one that's alleged to have done this because she hasn't been found guilty of anything. She still has to have her day in court. But when they went to that home, and remember, he set the house on fire because he wanted to actually be let out. This is him being inside the home, locked away for 20 years. And you can basically say he could have only been in there for 19 years, because I talked about it whenever I reported about this, a couple weeks ago. In the reporting that I said, because I read it, she made mention that her husband, who was the father of the kid, of the man now, he died last year. So instead of him being held captive for 20 years, he only could have been held captive for 19 years. And last year, once the man died, she could have easily have unchained him, unlocked him for the room, and tried to make amends the best way that she can, even though for all those years of you and your husband, his father, kept that boy inside that room, treating him worse than an animal. It wouldn't have made up for anything, but at least you could have gave to your defense saying, because this is the defense that she's going with, that her husband was the one that did this and she was just complying with the husband for keeping the son locked into the room. If that was your defense, last year should have been the time that you should have took the man right out of the room. That is simple common sense procedure. If you are truly afraid for your life and you are afraid of your husband and you're just complying with everything, once he's dead, there's nothing to fear anymore. You can literally let go the kid, but you didn't. So that tells me that you were right there with him, treating that kid just as bad, just as crude as anything, to the point that you held him in another year after his father passed. So again, I find I'm just like the dude asking, how is she able to walk around? She should be in jail. She should be in there waiting until her court date comes about, until her court trial, all that stuff comes about. I don't care how long it takes, 5 years, 10 years. I don't care. She should be locked in there. But no, she's made bail. She posted $300,000 bail and she's on house arrest. So that's what's up right now with this situation. There's just no way that she should be out, but she is, and I feel for the victim. I do. I'm hoping that he is getting treatment. I'm hoping that wherever he is, he's getting some, as I said, treatment, getting some love, getting something. Because, man, oh boy, again, 69 pounds, being 5'9", that's not, again, that's just treating someone just deplorably. And again, Kimberly Sullivan, the stepmother, she shouldn't be out. But, hey, man, again, it's all alleged until she's had her day in court and been found guilty or not guilty. So, when more news updates come out about this one, I'll bring it right back to this podcast as well. But don't be mean to no one. Don't hold no one hostage. Don't do anything like this woman did here. If you are about to marry a man that is crude and rude to his kids, or vice versa, if you're about to marry a woman that is crude and rude to her children, I would say you probably want to call up the other spouse to see if they can get their kid and let them know of the situation at hand, and probably don't get married to that person. That's what I would suggest to anybody in this situation here. But again, that's just my 2 cents on this matter. When more news updates come about, I'll bring it back right to this broadcast. Now, moving off of this, I want to talk about a woman named Charlie Jarvis. She has been convicted of defrauding JPMorgan of $175 million because of the sale of a financial startup company. Associated Press would write up about it. They would say Charlie Jarvis, the charismatic founder of a startup company that claimed to be revolutionizing the way college students apply for financial aid, was convicted Friday of defrauding one of the world's largest banks, JPMorgan Chase, out of $175 million by exaggerating her customer base tenfold. A jury returned the verdict after a 5-week trial in federal court in Manhattan. Jarvis, 32, and her co-defendant, Oliver Amir, faced the possibilities of decades in prison in a case that has drawn comparisons to Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes. Jarvis appears solely at the defense table as the verdict was read. A lawyer placed her hand on Jarvis's back. She pushed past reporters and didn't speak as she left the court. Jarvis was in her mid-20s when she founded Frank, a company with software that promised to simplify the process of filling out the free application for federal Student Aid, a complex government form used by students to apply for aid for college or graduate school. The company promoted itself as a way for financially needy students to obtain more aid faster in return for a few $100s in fees. Jarvis appeared regularly on cable news programs to boost Frank's profile, once appearing on Forbes 30 Under 30 list before JPMorgan bought the startup in 2021. JPMorgan executives testified that Jarvis told them she had more than 4 million clients and would have about 10 million by year's end, but it turned out there were only 300,000 customers, and a list verifying her outsized claim was largely bogus. You would think that a company wanting to acquire another company should at least do some real heavy digging. Don't just go into what someone tells you and just take it as face value. And I think that when JP Morgan saw that she was on the Forbes 30 Under 30, because I think certain companies only look up the founder's name and see what have they accomplished truly. And if you see them under Forbes 30 Under 30, I think that further entices them to believe everything at face value, but you shouldn't. And this tells you right here. Jarvis's lawyer would tell the court or tell the jury that JP Morgan knew what it was getting in the deal, accusing the bank of making up the fraud allegations because of the buyer's remorse after regulatory changes made the data it received in the deal useless to its hopes of gaining new young customers. Defense lawyers asked the judge to set aside the verdict, arguing the evidence was non-sufficient to sustain the conviction. The judge in the case said he would hear arguments on that next week and resolve a dispute over whether Jarvis and Amir must wear ankle monitors while awaiting sentence on July 23rd. So they've been found guilty, and this just seems like another white-collar crime type deal right here. For them to be defrauding JP Morgan of $175 million, and right now they have to wear ankle monitors until July 23rd as they're awaiting sentencing, meaning that they just be home. That is some white collar type stuff right there, which I'm not mad at because, again, this is the United States and they already tell you point blank, white collar, blue collar, you're already at a different, they already look at you different just off of the jobs that you do, white collar, blue collar, that's one. And it goes the exact same way with crimes right here. This right here, I'm siding with Charlie Jarvis. I'm siding with her, dog, because you as a big company, you as the big company wanting to buy my company, again, you should look into it. You didn't do your job. And if I'm upfront with you about the stuff and they're saying that she was upfront about them and they're just having buyer's remorse, that isn't my fault. And it's not my fault that you didn't do your job. Yes, I can tell you a lie. Companies tell companies lies. People, matter of fact, let's stop right now. If you go into a company and they tell you that they need a help wanted, right? And they tell you the position, what your position is, and you tell them what you're not going to do, but they still hire you for the position that you applied for, and you told them that you're not going to do this thing, and they say, okay, cool, we're not going to have you do it. Then they come back around when they hire you. First day goes all right. Second day goes right. Your third day goes and they say, hey, do this thing. The thing that you told them that you were not going to do. And you'd say no. And they happen to fire you. I would think you should have a case with that because you told your employer, hey, I told them up front, right when I was there, I'm not going to do this. And then they told me to do it on my third day. That's kind of a problem there. People would say, no, Gerald, that's how jobs go. They can lie. They can hear you out and they say, okay, we're not going to have you do it. But then they can automatically change their mind here. That's called changing another mind. No, I'll say, no, you lied to me because you heard me. You said, okay, we're not going to have you do it. And then you had me do it, or you try to have me do it. I say, okay, so you heard what I said, but you still try to make me do it. Okay, so you lied. You lied then. This is all what this sounds like to me. This sounds like the girl just lied. The company is having buyer's remorse. The company that didn't do their job right. That's all it sounds like to me reading this, to be honest with you. Again, someone defrauding a bank, and when a bank defrauds a lot of customers on a daily or monthly or yearly process, again, I'm not mad at that at all because that's what big businesses do. They always lie to people all day. So I'm not mad at this, but she just ended up getting caught. And personally, also, if you bump up your numbers, That's what every business does in a negotiation. People bump up the numbers. People cook the books. Not every company is always up front. Again, it's called doing your homework. You being a bank, you should have all the money in the world, whether you got to borrow it from another bank or just out of pocket, just go and do some real heavy extensive, like, looking into it. You should know better. You should do all the research in the world before acquiring something like this, especially with this program that was supposed to help college students to fill out the financial aid packets and all that. That's still dealing with money. I put a lot of blame on JPMorgan for this, but hey, the court is what the court. They found her guilty. She'll be waiting at home with the ankle monitor until July 23rd. It is what it is. So again, man, I don't blame the girl. I don't. She did what she had to do, and I'm hoping she doesn't get tacked too much with this. I really do. But when that sentencing come about, I will bring that back around on this podcast and talk about it. Now, getting off of that money topic and sticking still with money, I have to talk about it. I have to talk about Marvin Sapp, legendary gospel singer. I believe he's a bishop now. He's been catching some heat this week, and it's because of a viral clip that went, a clip that went viral. And it's of him at a conference last year. And in that clip, you see him tell the ushers to shut the door. He wants the congregation members to put in $20 each. And he says that there's about 1,000 people watching online. He would like for them to give $20 as well, because I believe they had a goal of $40,000. Okay. And it doesn't look good for Marvin Sapp with this being the case, this clip going out. It didn't look good at all, because you've seen a lot of people online talk about it. And they would say this looked like a hostage type situation, saying that you telling the ushers to shut the door. It made it seem like, okay, you guys can't leave until we meet this goal. That technically does kind of sound like a hostage situation. I'm not going to say kidnapping, because, well, kidnapping does require you to kind of like pay a ransom too. So, I mean, hostage, kidnapping, it all depends on what you want to go with this. But, people will get on Marvin this whole entire week. Now, he will reply on his Facebook page. Marvin would say, some have taken issue with a particular moment when I instructed the ushers rather firmly to close the doors during the offering. To those unfamiliar with the church context or who may not regularly attend worship gatherings, this has been misinterpreted as holding people hostage as well as offensive. That was never my intent. The truth is, when finances are being received in any worship gathering, it is one of the most vulnerable and exposed times for both the finance and security teams. Movement during this sacred exchange can be distracting and at times even risky. My directive was not about control. It was about creating a safe, focused, and reverent environment for those choosing to give and for those handling the resources. Unfortunately, in the social media age, snippets are easily shared without context, and assumptions are quickly made without understanding the full picture. Conferences have budgets, churches have budgets, and people have budgets. As the assigned ministerial gift for this international gathering, one of my responsibilities was to help raise the conference budgets. That's not manipulation, it's stewardship. So that was Marvin Sapp's response to the whole internet viral clip. I will say this, I haven't experienced none of that in my time of going to church. Usually, any church that I've gone to, I'll tell you exactly how the programs usually go. You have the church start, they do a prayer, they go off to doing the sings, hymns, all that type of stuff. Once that's over, they usually have announcements, and then after that, it's time for the offerings, tithing procedures, however you will. And again, they never ever have had anybody shut the door and basically say you are not allowed to leave on this procedure. I will say that I have had the experience whenever it was time for offerings and tithing. I have had an usher kind of stop me from using the restroom, saying you guys can't leave out of here right now. He's trying to get the offering started like that. I have had that type of situation, but I've never had a pastor kind of say, hey, yo, give this money up like that. And then usually after the tithes and offering, you go back to like another song, one or two songs, and then it's time for your pastor or bishop, whoever is the leader of your church, to come up and give his word. That's usually how church services I've been to have gone. Conferences kind of go the exact same way as well, but just with more singings and probably people going up there to give their testimonies before, again, your leader or the person that's supposed to speak at the conference come out to give the word. Never have I seen or experienced someone telling the ushers to shut the doors and, again, saying that you want to see people give $20 each, even if you did it electronically, want to see that you gave it electronically. I've never seen that happen before. And yes, churches do have budgets. All these conferences have budgets. Yes, people have budgets, but it's not right to kind of force the people to give money up. It's not right. It's not right in no shape, form, or fashion. People have to give money up in a church setting when they feel that they can give it up or they want to give it up, not that they have to. Anybody having to do something is always going to be from a negative place, and it's never good. They're always going to hold some resentment to that. And again, with a lot of people outside of the church looking at this incident right here, this will make more people kind of turn away from the church. So hopefully people don't turn away from a church that they're already going to or that they were thinking about going to. Because again, I'm not too much of a churchy type guy, but I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in God like that. So I'm hoping that doesn't turn away from people or the spiritual force. But again, this was just a bad viral clip of a situation. Oh, that Marvin Sapp does never ever do anything like this ever again. Yeah, man, I had to talk about it because again, it just wouldn't feel right not to talk about that. And again, I hope Marvin Sapp doesn't do anything like that ever again. I hope that no pastors or bishops do anything like that ever again. And I hope this doesn't sway people away from a church if you happen to go to one. You know what I mean? So again, that's just me talking about this quick viral moment from Marvin Sapp and all that. Anything else before I get onto the fun news? I'm kind of done talking about the money stuff here. I want to talk about Stephen A and LeBron James right now real quickly because their rivalry is still heating up. It's still cooking right now. Stephen A couple weeks ago, I talked about it as well with being confronted by LeBron James and LeBron telling Stephen A not to talk about his kid. I talked about it. I said that wasn't LeBron's situation. I understand as a father to come up to Stephen A to do that. That's cool. But Stephen A is a journalist. He is a sports journalist. He does do this. He's been doing this for many years. So for him to talk about the analysis of the game and all that, fine, cool. I understand LeBron as a father coming up because he felt away because obviously you probably talked to your kid about how things are going and the criticism about it. So I understand the reason why. And I mentioned that a couple weeks ago. Now it's continued to heat up more. Stephen A has went on his platform since the incident went down and talked about how if LeBron would have put his hands on him, he would have swung on LeBron James, which I find funny. Again, Stephen A, if you look at Stephen A and you look at LeBron James, just the thought of Stephen A swinging on LeBron is just crazy in itself. But hey, cool, Chief. Say that if you feel like that way. And again, you don't have to be the strongest man to smack another man because they hit you. You just got to show them that you have heart to do it. So I'm not going to take Stephen A not at his word for that because I do believe that Stephen A would hit LeBron James if LeBron were to hit him. I'm not going to try to deny that at all. But Stephen A has talked on his platform on his personal YouTube page and also on First Take about him and LeBron's incidents. Those two kind of not liking one another. Even LeBron will go on Pat McAfee's show and talk about him and Stephen A and LeBron having issues with sports writers and all that type of stuff. The big thing that I see out of this LeBron and Stephen A business right now is that a big athlete like LeBron James, a guy that has been dominating basketball for, I want to say almost 2 decades now, right? He is confronting the biggest sports analyst, journalist in the game and has been in the game for, I want to say, almost 2 decades now, too. Like when he got off of ESPN and then we got brought back to ESPN, and I'm talking about Stephen A here, and he's just been the man for ESPN. When you think of ESPN, for many years, you think of Stephen A. Now you have to think of Stephen A and Pat McAfee, but Stephen A's name is still in that equation. So I see just like 2 big names in their respective fields just basically going at one another, and I like it. I hope more sports analysts come out, or sports players, either current or former, come out and talk to the sports analysts about the way they analyze the sport. I would like for dialogue to be happening between the sports players and the analysts, whether it be on different shows, the way that we have with LeBron is Pat McAfee and then Stephen A responding on his show, or they responding on one platform, and it just gains eyes on the conversations. I would love for that to happen because that's the way it's seeming to go. Athletes are tired of media just creating narratives about them and all of that. If it's not how you play, but how you conduct yourself off the playing field, I would like for an athlete to come about and say it. Even if you play horribly on, like, the game, I would like for them to come out and say, yo, listen, I might have played trash this moment, but don't forget, I've been killing people all season long. You didn't talk about this bummy guy on this other team over here. And, like, I would like for athletes really to start shooting at reporters for not covering other players that probably aren't doing as well. Like, LeBron James probably could talk about analysts not talking about other basketball players that probably almost have been playing basketball as long as him and not still keeping up the way that LeBron has been keeping up for many years. I would love, again, for analysts and sports players to really talk and really have that on-air conversation about sports athletes feeling analysts, how they're doing, and give them a report, as the analysts have constantly gave superstars and athletes a report of how they play. I would like for athletes to do that right back to the journalists. I would love to see it. And as long as it's always fair and it's balanced and not too disrespectful, you're going to get disrespect because that's part of everybody's human anatomy. If you feel disrespected, you're going to give it right back. But I would like for it to be at least, if we're going to have a conversation, 75% respectful, 25% disrespect by throwing in little bars, throwing in little jabs, and getting into discomforting conversation from time to time. I would love to see that happening more. And I think that's where we're going to be going now with this thing with Stephen A and LeBron. Because I guarantee you, other players in other fields are definitely about to start pulling that card. That's all I'm saying. I don't know about soccer players. I know football players have been doing this recently now. I haven't seen like a Patrick Mahomes, because he's like the biggest guy in that field right now, do that to any analysts. But we've seen other football players come up on First Take or come up on other news sports shows and get at analysts for their coverage of the sport. Again, LeBron just a big name. I would like to see soccer players. You know what? Nope, it hasn't happened, because I don't think Ronaldo or Messi has done that, because if it was, that would have made a big news headline too. But I would like to see more big athletes do that right back to the reporters, and also allow the reporters to shoot right back. I would like to see this war between reporters and athletes go on, because I think it would be helpful for not only the reporting world, but also the athletes world, because it would put a bigger light on the athletes and make them having to play better. It would. And it will also make it a bigger light on the reporters saying, hey, yo, this is how they played. So we want to see how you cover them and see if you're covering them the way that the athlete's saying you're covering them. And if you are, we want to see you change it or see you poke and prod them some more so they can perform better. So that's the way I see this whole deal with LeBron James and Stephen A. It's by far past the whole I confront you over a dad thing. Is now you're testing my manhood now. So we'll see how much longer it gets with Stephen A. and LeBron with the back and forth jabbing at one another. But that is my quick synopsis right now on that whole little beef between those two guys. Now, moving on from LeBron James and Stephen A's little tiff, I'm going to move over to a amusement park that has now been permanently shut down, or shall I say amusement park ride. That's the more better thing to say here. Los Angeles Times will write up about it. Six Flags Magic Mountain Superman Escape from Krypton, once among the fastest and tallest roller coasters in the world, has taken its final flight. The ride was shut down for maintenance last September, will be closed permanently, park officials told the Orange County Register. Originally named Superman the Escape, the roller coaster set speed and height records when it debuted in 1997, hurling riders upwards at a top speed of 100 miles per hour before sending them back down on a nearly vertical 415-foot plummet, where they experienced 6.5 seconds of weightlessness, according to the theme park's website. Magic Mountain's president, Jeff Harris, told the OC Register that the park had initially hoped to reopen the ride, but sourcing replacement parts for the aging roller coaster had proved cost prohibitive. Just like other roller coasters within the theme park industry, there's a life cycle with these coasters. It's just reached a point in time where we need to make a wise decision on where we really should reinvest funds that improve the guest experience the most. It just doesn't make a lot of sense from a business perspective to put it back into Superman. So that's where we're at. Superman, that ride has been shut down permanently. So with that being said, you probably know it's going to get torn down probably within, I'll say, 2 years from now. I never liked big, roller coasters like that. The scary experience, it never ever tantalized me. It always made me oh no. I always thought of death. Cause always the Final Destination type movies, and you would see just online the viral clips of an amusement park ride just going wrong, either in the machine, having them being stuck in the air for a long period of time, or some type of malfunctioning happening, they could have cost people their lives. That's always the reason why I've never ever messed with the big astonishing type of rides. Never. I remember down in Myrtle Beach way, there was the Hard Rock Cafe, and they had a big roller coaster over there. And myself, my brothers, and my father went there. My mom wasn't feeling too good, and she kind of made a bet with us, saying that anybody that would go on that ride, you get $100. And me and my brothers were always talk up about oh man, that $100 is going to be sweet just to get on the ride, just to receive $100. That's going to be easy. It's going to be cake. And us being us, sometimes our eyes are too big for our belly, if you get my drift here. Once we get there, we ride some of the rides. We wanted to save the last ride for that big one. And we get close to it and we see how big it is. We yo, I immediately backed out of that. I was nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. That's too big, bro. That's too big, man. I'm not doing that. Because again, my mind went to, if I get stuck up there, that's going to be crazy. I'm not going to like it. I don't like being dangled up in heights like that. And that's way above the ground too. Oh no, I'm not gonna do that. So I backed out. My brothers were still playing coy with the idea of, oh, maybe we'll get on it. Yeah. But eventually they backed out of it too. And we never collected on $100 for that. But yeah, man, I give it up to the rides that were big. If you went on these type of big rides, went on the Superman ride, I hope you enjoyed your time. I hope nothing ever bad happened to you. But yeah, that Superman ride has been closed down and it's permanently shut down. So RIP Superman. And, yeah, that's about it for that. On to the last thing that I do want to talk about. And again, this is in the entertainment world. People have got into a big frenzy over Marvel and Robert Downey Jr. kind of teasing some of the members is going to be a part of that Avengers Doomsday movie. They said it's supposed to be premiering in theaters, May 1st of 2016. So that's going to be a lot that they're going to be trying to record now. I think they're already in the process of making the movie. I know from what we've already been announced, you got like the guy that played Namir from Black Panther 2 in there, Channing Tatum. He will be reprising his Gambit character that you saw in Deadpool, the latest Deadpool movie. You'll be seeing the Miss Invisible from the newest Fantastic Four movie that hasn't even came out yet. She's a part of this. There's some other people in this. Again, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Doctor Doom, but people have been talking about the people that aren't in it, or at least haven't been brought up yet. Because right now you don't have the Hulk in the movie yet. Hawkeye isn't in it. Samuel L. Jackson's name wasn't part of one of the chairs. Deadpool himself wasn't a part of it. Wolverine, Storm, Jean Grey. Because they kind of brought back the original X-Men. They brought back the original actor that played Cyclops. They brought back my man, the bald head dude, Patrick something. They brought him back to play Professor X. And they brought in just a different plethora of Marvel characters in this as well. They even brought back, God, what's Homeboy? God, no, they haven't brought back. They didn't even mention Spider-Man. I mean, they mentioned Thor. They mentioned him. They mentioned Loki. They didn't mention Captain America. I'm talking about white boy Captain America. I'm talking about Chris Evans. They mentioned my man Anthony Mackie. He's going to be part of that. So there's still some Marvel characters that haven't been a part of this thing yet. But you got to remember, I don't think it's been confirmed everybody that's going to be a part of this, because I feel with Robert Downey Jr. being Doctor Doom, and again, they had to make kind of a shift over from the Kang stuff that happened. I think a year ago, they actually had to make the official swift over, because that's whenever Jonathan Majors got found guilty of that situation. But previously, they were supposed to do the whole Kang dynasty and all that, but since whatever went down with Jonathan Majors happened, they had to swift over. Robert Downey Jr. is now Doctor Doom, and now they're now filming Avengers Doomsday now. So I can't wait to see it on May 1st. I'll probably see it that weekend or the week after that, because I think it's going to be one of those movies you actually do have to see in theaters. Truly. I mean, you can wait until streaming comes out with it, but I think I'm not even a Marvel type guy like that. Yeah, I'll watch some of the Marvel movies, but I think that's one you definitely have to see. Like, because of all the implications that could come out of that. But, yeah, the internet went a frenzy about it, but there's still certain people missing. I probably do feel there's going to be more to be probably not announced, but probably just be sneak tip. When the movie drops, you'll see everyone pop in that you didn't get announced from that. That's the way I think that things are going to come about it. But so far, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with what's going on down right now. And yeah, that's what it is with the Avengers Doomsday. I do hope, though, and I still say this with my whole full chest, that Jonathan Majors does go back to Marvel. Marvel and Jonathan come back to a situation where he can play Kang. It would be crazy to see him pop up in the Doomsday movie, or if they call it Secret Wars. Either way, if he doesn't make it in Doomsday, he pops up like in the movie after Doomsday as Kang, or even in the end credits, him talking to Dr. Doom or something like that. That'd be crazy to me, because then you'll be fusing both Dr. Doom and Kang. I think that would be crazy to see that type of interaction. But again, we'll wait and see. But I believe that's everything that I do want to talk about today. So with that stated, it is now time for me to get you guys out of here. I would like to thank everybody for dropping in and tuning in on today's episode. I want to thank the podcasting sites, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Podcasts, all these other podcasting sites that you're listening to this podcast on, because without them, I won't be able to get this podcast out to you guys. So I want to thank them first and foremost, but not too far behind. I would like to thank you guys, the downloaders, the listeners, for listening to me just talk about everything that I do talk about and get my opinion on. And whether it be you listen to me in the background while you're driving your car, inside your home, in the gym, I appreciate it. I truly do, because I'm just one guy just talking about news topics and talking about every other thing that comes to my mind. And you guys listen, and I see it from the downloads. I do appreciate it so much. With that stated, always remember,
I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you.
this is not a gimmick. I truly do appreciate and love every single one of you guys. I want everyone to have a great, blessed day. Please be well. Please say a prayer or say a positive affirmation when you get up in the morning, because I think that's the first thing that you should do to start your day off on a bright day. So please do that. And also, please try to be kind and generous to everyone that you do come across, because you have no idea what that might do for them. Because someone might be in a bad day, they come across you and you bring forth good energy, good vibe to them. They could turn their whole day around to being positive, because we know the opposite does happen. You can be good and someone brings crappy energy towards you and they can just kill your day. So please try to bring light and positivity towards everyone that you do come in contact with, and just have a great day and great week, all right? You'll hear from me again Wednesday when I come back with another episode of Midweek Breakdown. Thursday, when I start a new thing that I'm doing Thursday, which is called Let's Have a Chat. Is me talking about something that comes to my mind about professional wrestling on my Thursday episode. Saturday, with my Wrestling Highlights of the Week episode there, it's different from my Thursday episode, so please just take account of that. And next Sunday, when I talk about things that happen in the news, the big headlines, on my Sunday episode of the My Two Cents podcast. So with the schedule already broke down to you, this has been your My Two Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. He is I, and I am him. This isn't goodbye. This is until you hear from this sweet sounding voice again. And with all this being said, Kanye, could you please take these people home?
I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.